The detention chamber hummed with cold, metallic stillness, the kind that belonged to ships built for interrogation rather than mercy. Erin knelt on the hard floor, her wrists locked behind her with energy cuffs that pulsed hot against her skin. Blood dripped from her lip, warm and metallic, but she refused to let her voice shake. The Krill interrogator circled her slowly, irritation clicking through his mandibles. "Last chance, human," he hissed, his exoskeleton glowing faintly. "Under the lights, each scar telling a story of battles won. Where is your fleet staging point?" Erin lifted her head, her eyes steady despite the pain. "I already told you," she whispered. "I'm a cargo runner. Wrong human, wrong ship." The Krill didn't argue. Index finger. The snap echoed like a gunshot. Erin's scream tore through the chamber, raw and human, but still she didn't speak. The interrogator leaned closer, confident he was alone with his victim. What he didn't know was that he had another audience. One far more dangerous, 3 meters above, in the narrow vent shaft, a small girl pressed her face against the grate. Lyra, only 7 years old, watched her mother's torture with silent tears. She clutched the metal until her hands shook, but her gray eyes stayed unblinking. Cold, memorizing. She studied every detail of the Krill's face, the shape of his mandibles, the uneven ridges of his exoskeleton, the scar below his right eye. She memorized the way he moved, the limp in his left leg, the pattern on his chest plate. When Erin finally collapsed from the pain, the Krill gestured for guards. "Take her to medical. Keep her alive. We continue tomorrow," as they dragged her mother out of the cell. Lyra whispered into the darkness, a quiet promise that settled into her bones and waited. "I'll start with 10 of them." 12 years later, the starship Retribution glided through space with the silent confidence of a blade. It wasn't the largest ship in humanity's fleet, but it was the one the Krill feared most. Stories, whispered through their ranks, spoke of a human captain who struck without warning, who dismantled entire outposts with surgical precision. A ghost with gray eyes. Captain Lyra Erin stood on the bridge, her left hand replaced by a sleek prosthetic, crafted from krill chitin taken from the first interrogator she ever killed. She stared at the tactical display as coordinates blinked in place. The facility where her mother had been tortured. Her first officer approached. "Captain, intercepted communication confirms Commander Vextal is still in charge there." Lyra's expression didn't change, but something sharp flickered in her eyes. "We go in at 030. Oh, the assault was silent and precise. Lyra's team moved through corridors with the deadly calm of people shaped by war and pain. Of them had been children like her, survivors of interrogation rooms, survivors of Krill brutality. She found Vexthal in his command chamber. Older now, his exoskeleton dull, but those same scars still etched across his face. He looked up, confused at first. Then his mandibles twitched. "You," he whispered, "the child in the vents." Lyra stepped closer, her movements controlled. "You broke my mother's finger," she said. "Do you remember what I told you that day?" Vexthal reached for his weapon, but Lyra crushed his wrist with her prosthetic hand. His shriek echoed through the room, the same sound her mother had made all those years ago. "I said I'd start with 10, she continued quietly, and I did." She reached into her vest and tossed a datapad onto his desk. The locations and access codes of every Krill detention facility in 3 sectors. All of them. The commander stared at the pad, horrified. What are you doing?" "I'm keeping my promise," Lyra said. "I won't kill you. Mother made me swear that when I found you, I would not take your life." She turned away, her team waiting at the door. "But I've already transmitted those codes to every human fleet in the quadrant. By morning, thousands of your prisoners will be free, and the High Command will know it was your fault." Vexel's mandibles clicked in panic as understanding hit him. The Krill did not forgive failure. They didn't give second chances. Lyra paused at the threshold. "You started by breaking my mother's finger," she said softly. "I'm ending by breaking your entire future." Hours later, the Retribution drifted away from the collapsing facility. Her first officer approached. "We're getting reports from the fleets. Over 3,000 human prisoners will be freed by dawn. And krill ships are heading toward Vextal Station. Lyra nodded, her prosthetic hand flexing out of habit. They're not coming to rescue him. For the first time in years, she allowed herself a small smile. Not warm, but satisfied. The kind of smile that came from a promise finally kept. "Send a message to command," she said. "Tell them the cub has grown teeth." She reached into her pocket and touched the worn photograph of her mother, taken years before the war. "Stole everything. 10 of them, Mom," she whispered. "I started with 10, but I didn't stop there." The retribution vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind the beginning of a legend. One that would spread across the galaxy, because if you break one human, the rest remember, and humans never forgive.